Hello. The title of our presentation today is How Self-Service Saved the Day.
Hello, my name is Joey Jenkins, the Operating Systems Analyst for the NC State University Libraries. I'm looking forward to talking about our latest developments this year.
Hi, I'm Everett Allen. I'm the Apple Support Specialist for North Carolina State University. Thank you all for viewing. Today we're going to talk about how self-service saved the day for us. We're going to talk about what our problem was, what we were doing wrong, what we stopped doing, what happened in the end, and what our future is. The rise of COVID-19. Stop me if you've heard this one before.
As COVID-19 began to spread across the United States, North Carolina State University moved quickly to establish a remote learning environment and a workforce to continue supporting the university's mission. From the beginning, the North Carolina State University Libraries was determined to be the best suited to meet this need due to our existing fleet of lending computers. Working with the Office of Information Technology, the libraries moved to convert its entire device pool, including teaching and lending devices, to support as many people as possible across multiple colleges and disciplines. And to make it even better, we had 3 days to make it happen. Now I'll turn it over to Everett.
So what started out to be as an intense reprovisioning project was soon magnified by hundreds of additional new devices contributed by OIT. With a provisioning process that ran us about 78 minutes, we need something, less. But we still had to meet our short deadline. We were already using automated device enrollment. So what else could we do? We started looking at the things that we were doing wrong. Joey, what were we doing wrong?
The initial reaction to providing laptops was to make as much pre-installed software available as possible. Our prep time was slowing us down so that we couldn't meet demand. As more and more staff moved into remote work along with students, we were forced to have a conversation about how to make deployments even faster. We were still trying to control what software was installed, and we were applying a configuration that required users to log on before issuing them the devices. We were slowing ourselves down because we were touching devices before shipping them. And Everett, some other things we were doing wrong?
So what we had to do was we took a hard look at the 31 packages that we were delivering as standard. And we realized that the provisioning process for these packages was taking an extra 50 minutes over what we were doing for a standard internet recovery nuke and pave. We had to move away from the golden image idea that we had brought with us from the 1980s into our provisioning process. The imaging was gone, but our thinking was not. And here is where Jamf's self-service enters the picture. So we stopped doing some things. Joey, what did we stop doing?
Instead of waiting for software to install or for any configuration to apply, we decided on the best configuration already in hand, the out-of-box experience. Allowing the user to set up the device and enroll it in Jamf Pro, we were able to decrease deployment times by orders of magnitude. By putting the device configuration in the hands of users, we created a sense of ownership, as well as a sense of safety. With a zero-touch deployment, we decreased the risk of infection from COVID-19. Software installs in the hands of users allowed them to configure a device with the software they actually needed rather than a device with software bloat. Everett, some other things that we were doing?
So we decided that we needed to stop doing so many apps. Now we provision only 4 apps: Chrome, Firefox, MediaSite from the App Store, and our Cisco VPN. We also use self-service to emphasize collaboration with our G Suite web tools. We require login and self-service for folks that want to use Acrobat Pro or the Microsoft Office apps. We do this not only to save time, but also so that we can limit our licensing costs to actual usage. We're using our accessibility campaign this year called Extreme PDF Makeover to make sure that PDFs that we must keep in our workflows can be filled out by preview. This will further eliminate our security and compatching concerns about Acrobat. We are even considering adding a Google Forms button to self-service to encourage a complete shift away from the PDF world. Here's what our clients see when they first open self-service. This provides focus on what they need most while reducing our prep time by over 30 minutes. In fact, it takes us about 28 minutes to run internet recovery on our networks here. And so the total savings in time is just about 50 minutes. So we did this by listening to the force. And Joey, what did we listen to?
Well, for so long, our organizations have lived with the expectation of device configuration being a hands-on, IT-only service shrouded in the mists of technological wizardry, almost as if completing a device configuration was an affirmation of our skill. Instead, we realized that the real wizardry was not in having the perfect pre-configuration, but increasing customer satisfaction by freeing devices from bloated installs and giving our clients the software choices they wanted in self-service. This is how Apple says it should be done. This is what Jamf self-service makes possible. And Everett, some stuff for self-service provisioning.
Yeah, so as we went on farther in this process, we were able to leverage some more of self-service and the power of the BSD subsystem in macOS to make things even easier for our clients. While there were many tricks that we used, one that we found particularly interesting is the use of the double pipe shell operator that allowed us to create launcher icons in self-service that would either open an application, or if the open failed, it would run a custom trigger policy to install that application. We also added a self-service category named Launcher and gave it a priority of 1. This allows it to show up as a tab up at the top of self-service on the left-hand side to make a better experience for the customers so that they can find it easily. We even changed the self-service button text to launch and install instead of just install. This provided more confidence for our users as they navigated this changing world. So what you see here is an example of the 2 policies in the JSS that you would need to set this up. The one policy you probably already have is an installation policy. It could be self-service. It could be on any other trigger. But what we did was add a custom event type called in Firefox or install Firefox. This particular second policy that you see under the launcher category there uses the open command line tool to try to open Firefox, and there the double pipe in the shell is used so that when that open were to fail, it would actually execute that policy silently. And yes, you may be wondering, we can nuke it from space. Joey, you want to talk about that?
Sure. In the event something does go wrong with the device, it does happen even with Apple technology, as we all know who have all worked in the field for some time, we had to devise a way to give the user a fresh start without giving out a firmware password to get to the recovery partition. And by the way, you should definitely set a firmware password in order to prevent access to the recovery partition on public machines, and you should never, ever give it out to the public. Jamf Self-Service, as always, provides the way for this. If the user is still able to use the device, since North Carolina State University is a Google campus, we are able to connect to the device user's Google Drive and upload all pertinent information from the device with a simple self-service click. Then we provide a special self-service policy available only to the user called Nuke Computer with a handy-dandy, easily identifiable mushroom cloud logo. Once launched from self-service, the device connects to SS, downloads the latest macOS installer application, or for 1015 Catalina, uses the software update fetch full installer command and executes the start OS install command with the erase install option as you see outlined here on the slide. This self-service policy then returns the device back to an out-of-box experience, enabling the user to reconfigure the device with Apple's automated device enrollment and start fresh. And yes, clients can click self-service all by themselves. Ultimately, what came of all this is the emergence of self-service as a platform for the future of the libraries and a model of support for the university. Gone are the days of dependency on bloated configurations, waiting for IT to get to a software installation, or hands-on support of devices in a time when a pandemic has upended every facet of daily life. Once forced to face the necessity of remote education and support, the true power of self-service was revealed, and we enabled our faculty, staff, and students to securely guide their own destinies. So let's talk about some of the things that we're looking at for the future. Everett, you want to start off with that?
So part of our pandemic response was to provide true touchless deployment. Buildings were closed and our library was no exception. However, we still received requests for equipment. That put us in a position where sometimes we were receiving boxes from the shipper and turning them right back out and shipping them out again to the end users. So as we look to the future and consider the health of our faculty, staff, and students, we're discussing how this might become permanent. We know that Apple can ship to multiple addresses for enterprise customers, and this would allow our clients to enjoy the out-of-box experience. This could be our new normal. Or we could simply have long-term lending devices in automated vending machines. This would allow us to scale our software self-service into hardware self-service. We could leverage lower cost bulk packs of Apple devices that are packaged in eco-friendly recyclable materials to fill these touchless vending machines with a lower carbon footprint. Imagine a client walks up to a vending machine, taps their Apple Watch, associates their ID while unlocking the bay, pulls out the machine, and gets on with no further assistance. And when these devices needed service, we could use these same vending machines to allow the return of the device for sanitation and repair. Joey, you want to talk about how we might extend lending?
Sure. Transitioning to a long-term lending program nearly overnight revealed something others may have already discovered. Now that we have seen how easy it is, why not expand? Why not make it a major selling point of coming to North Carolina State University? Why not loan every new student, faculty, and staff member a device of their choice with a configuration tailored to their specific needs in coordination with all colleges and business units? Why not have that support distributed throughout the university? Why not utilize the library's existing lending infrastructure to hand out zero-touch devices, still shrink-wrapped in the box, and let the users realize their destiny all on their own? To do that, I've provided a couple of links here that both Everett and I have documented that show the techniques we have used to make this a reality in our environment. If you have any questions, I invite you to ask. If you would like further information, please reach out to us on Jamf Nation. Thank you all for your time. And remember, the force, self-service, will be with you always.